Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to learn how to use the power of product and the power of a quotient rule. However, with our very first problem, I'm going to simplify it using the product rule only because I really want you to appreciate how much easier it is to use the power of a product rule to simplify expressions like these in this lesson today. All right, so we will be using these two rules, power of a product, which says a times b raised to the m is equal to a to the m b, let me erase that, b to the m. And the quotient a over b raised to the m is equal to a to the m, b to the m. All right, we'll start with this rule here first. But again, I'm going to do the very first problem using the product rule, not the power of a product, only so you can appreciate how much easier it is to simplify this power using the power of a product rule. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to express this power as a product. So this is 4x squared y squared, 4x squared y squared, 4x squared y squared. So this product is being repeated 3 times, and that's what I have here. Because this is a product, it doesn't matter which order you multiply the factors in. So what I'm going to do is reorder the factors so that I have all the 4's next to each other, like this, and x squares, all those powers next to each other, x squared times x squared times x squared, and then all the powers with base y next to each other, y squared, y squared, y squared. And now I can use the product rule to simplify this. All right, so I see that these have no powers. Remember, any number that doesn't have a power, the power is automatically 1, so you can express it. So I'll do that here, here, and here. And now you can look at these as powers with base 4. So I'll keep the base 4 and add the exponents 1, 2, 3 using the product rule. Keep the base x and add the exponents 2, 4, 6. Keep the base y and add the exponents 2, 4, 6. So I simplified this power using the product rule. However, if I had used the power of a product rule, I would have gotten the answer much faster. So I could go from here to here. I could get the answer much faster if I use the power of a product rule, which is this. Okay? This rule says if you have a product raised to some power m, distribute that power to each factor in that product. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take this exponent here, we're going to distribute it to each factor in this product. So this will give us 4 to the third. Distribute the 3 to the 2. You do that by multiplying, so it's going to be x to the 6th power. And then distribute the 3 to the 2 here. That'll give us y to the 6th. And you see, with the power of a product rule, by distributing the exponent to each factor in the product, you get the answer much faster. Okay? So you see, this is the same thing as this. All right, so moving forward, we're just going to use the power of a product rule to simplify each one of these powers. All right, so number 2. If you look at number 2, you see that you have powers with the same base x. You could actually simplify inside first before you use the power of product rule. So why don't we do that? This simplifies to 2, keep the same base x, 3 plus 4 is 7, and then we still have to raise that to the third power. Okay, so now we can go ahead and use the power of product rule. We'll distribute the power to each factor. So this will give us 2 to the third, and then distribute the 3 to this factor here. So we'll have x, 7 times 3 is 21. We can still simplify this because 2 to the third is 8, so we'll have 8 times x to the 21st power. Okay, and now this is in simplest form. Let's go ahead and continue to number 3. We're going to use the power product rule again. All right, so we're going to distribute this power to each factor. That'll give us 5 cubed. Distribute it to this factor, 2 times 3, that'll give us a to the 6. Distribute the 3 to this factor, that'll give us b. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, we can still simplify that a little bit more. 5 cubed is 125, so this will be 125, a to the 6, b to the 9th. All right, so let's go ahead and distribute. Again, the power to each factor. This will be -2 raised to the 3rd power. And anytime you have negatives, put them in parentheses, just like I did. And then we'll distribute the 3 to this factor here. So we'll have 3 times 2, m to the 6th power. We can simplify that some more. -2 times -2 times -2, that is -8. -8 m to the 6th power. Okay? You can actually pause the video and try the next two on your own and see how you do. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 3 to this factor here because it's negative. I'm going to use parentheses. And then distribute this 3 to this factor here. I'll have m. 5 times 3 is 15. Now, -3, I'll list those out so you can see. That's what we have. Well, -3 times -3 is 9, and 9 times -3 is -27. So this is -27 m to the 15th power. Okay, so I'm going to distribute the 2 to each factor. So this will be 5 squared. Distribute to this factor. We'll have 3 times 2 here. That's x to the 6. And distribute it to this factor. I'll have y to the 4th. I can simplify that some more. That's going to give me 25 x to the 6th, y to the 4th power. Okay, number 7 is actually just a product. So we don't have to use the power of a product rule. We just simply have to multiply the factors. So I'm going to rearrange the factors. 3/2 times 3/4 y squared times y cubed. So that'll give me 9/8. Keep the same base y. 2 plus 3 is 5. And that's it. I'm going to do the same thing here. This is 1/5 times 3/2 times m cubed times m to the 4th power. 3 times 1 is 3, so this is going to be 3/10 because 5 times 2 is 10. Keep the same base m. 3 plus 4 is 7. All right, we will use the power of product rule in the next two problems. We're going to distribute the 2 to each factor, so we'll have 3 squared. Distribute the 2 to this factor. We'll have a. -1 times 2 is -2. Distribute the 2 to this factor. We'll have b to the 6th power. 3 times 2. We can simplify this some more. This is going to be 9, a to the -2nd power, b to the 6th. But we have a negative power. Remember the definition of a negative exponents. In this case, a to the -2nd power will convert to 1/a squared, which means it will end up in the denominator. So our final answer will look like this: 9 times b to the 6th, a divided by a squared. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and distribute the 2 to each factor. So we 2 to the 2nd power. Distribute the 2 here. We'll have a to the -6th power. In here, we'll have b to the 10th power. We can simplify that some more. That'll be 4. We know this is going to go in the denominator, so I'll make a fraction bar and then put it in the denominator. And this is not a negative power, so it will have to stay in the numerator. Okay. All right, so next thing we're looking at is the power of a quotient. All right, so here's the rule. Quotient of A over B to the m is equal to A to the m divided by B to the m. So what you're doing is you're distributing that exponent to each factor in the numerator and denominator. All right, so let's do that. So this is going to be x, 2 times 3, that's 6. And then distribute the exponent to the factor in the denominator, and we'll have y, 7 times 3 is 21. And that's it. All right, we'll distribute the 2 to the 3, and we'll have 3 squared. Distribute the 2 to the x squared, so we'll have 2 times 2, that'll be 4, x to the 4th power. Distribute the 2 to the 4, so we'll have 4 squared, and distribute the 2 over here to this factor, we'll have y, 3 times 2 is 6. Let me erase everything so you can see. All right, we can simplify this some more. 3 squared is 9, x to the 4th, and 4 squared is 16, y to the 6th power. Let me fix this. This is x to the 4th. All right, why don't you pause the video and try the next one, and then come back and check. So distribute the 4 to each factor. We'll have 5 to the 4th power, m to the 8th. Distribute the 4 to the factors in the denominator, 2 to the 4th, n to the 4th. And now we can simplify that. 5 to the 4th, you can use your calculator to simplify that to 625. M to the 8th, and then the denominator, 2 to the 4th, is 16, n to the 4th. All right, so for number 14 and 15, there's different ways to do that. So what I'm going to do is turn this into a fraction first. And I'm going to rewrite this fraction. This means 1y over 2 to the negative third. Okay, but now I have fractions with negative powers. So this is where I'm allowed to flip-flop the numerator and the denominator and change the sign of the exponent. So we're using that rule. 2x raised to the 2nd power. I flip-flop these, change the sign of the exponent, flip-flop these, numerator and denominator. I'll have 2 over y raised to the 3rd power. I think this makes it a little bit easier. And now we can simplify that. Okay, so distribute, raise 1 to the 2nd power, you'll still have 1. Raise 2 to the 2nd power, you'll have 4. Raise x to the 2nd power, you'll have x squared. Times 2 to the 3rd power is 8. And y to the 3rd power is y cubed. And then we can simplify that. We'll get 8 over 4x squared y cubed. All right, why don't you try the next one? Pause the video and come back and check. I'm going to go ahead and continue. So I'm going to turn this into a fraction. Again, there's different ways to do this. I'm doing it this way. So I turned it into a fraction, and 1y, so that's going to be y over 4 raised to the negative 2nd power. So 1/4 y, that actually means y over 4. Okay, that's why I can write it this way. Because 1y, when you take this and you multiply it by y, you have 1y. 1y is the same thing as y. So you could write it this way, you could write it this way. This expression, 1/4 y, is the same thing as this. Just so you're not confused. Okay, because I have a fraction raised to a negative power, I can flip-flop the numerator and denominator, and I'll get this raised to the negative 3rd power Do the same thing here. I'll have 4 over y raised to the second power. And I can try to simplify that some more. All right. Oh, this should be, I should change this to positive because I flip-flopped them. All right, so 1 cubed is 1. 3 cubed is 27. X cubed is x cubed. Times 4 squared is 16. Y squared is y squared. And now I can simplify that. All right, 1 times 16 is 16. In the denominator, I have 27x cubed times y squared, so that'll be 27x cubed times y squared. And this concludes this video on power of a product and power of a quotient rule.